gent.
I never thought a little book like this would affect so many different people.
You love words.
Okay, I gotta fix this.
Fine. You're missing out.
Finish.
I have to tell you something. You can't slide out of it now. Critics are calling The Words a must-see. The Words, rated PG-13.
Who the fuck says we like words? That has to be one of the stupidest quotes I have ever heard in a movie. It would be like me saying, I like walking. Or somebody saying, I like running. I like moving my hands around. Like, what sense does that make? Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. And you can tell we're off to a wonderful start today because we've got 4 movies for September 7th, 2012. We are still in the dumping weeks of the time of the year, of like late August, early September. You get the idea. And boy, this one is definitely one that should have been dumped. It's a CBS film. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? The Words follows a young writer played by Bradley Cooper who finally achieves long sought after literary success. I read that wrong on here. After publishing the next great American novel. There's only one catch. He didn't write it. As the past comes back to haunt him and his literary star continues to rise, Jansen is forced to confront the steep price that must be paid for stealing another man's work and for placing ambition and success above life's most fundamental 3 words. So in this movie, you will have not just Bradley Cooper, but also Zoe Saldana, Olivia Wilde, Jeremy Irons, Ben Barnes, Dennis Quaid, and there's a Family Guy episode that's done this a whole lot better. The one where Brian basically just wrote the most blandest script of his book ever, and it became a hit success, and, you know, everything was going great for him, and then he shows up on Bill Maher, with a real-life Bill Maher, and they completely shut him out and make him look like a damn fool. I mean, South Park has done this story, and it's been much better. I mean, there's so many better things you could be doing with a movie like this. I mean, this is a film that is so desperately, hardly trying to get an Academy Award out of these actors, and it's just failing miserably. And like I said, it's a CBS film. CBS films do not look like real movies. They look like bad TV pilots brought to the big screen because, you know, a studio wants to expand their brand and go out and put a movie like this on the big screen thinking it's a real movie. It's not a real movie. It is not a real movie at all. This is a movie that feels like a parody than an actual movie. And I think these directors, I think, are actually friends of Bradley Cooper's too, and I think that was part of the reason why they came on board for this. But no, I'm sorry, this movie is fucking awful, man. This is the literal definition of a movie that is a give us an Academy Award. We don't care how bad our script is. Oscar, please. And the Oscars just say, no, we're not giving it to you because you're fucking stupid. I mean, the movie stopped being believable the moment Olivia Wilde says, I love words. Like, that was the point where it's just like, okay, I can't take this seriously. I can't take this shit seriously at all. I think you get the point here. The movie is bad. The words should be shut the shit down, pretty much, but oh, let's go ahead and continue the nightmare, because it only gets worse from here, folks. Let's take a look at Henry Cavill and Bruce Willis starring in The Cold Light of Day.
So you found us dead.
I owe you an explanation. You're CIA.
Een zenuwslopende actiethriller.
Tell me!
Met Henry Cavill and Bruce Willis.
I'm not leaving this country without my family.
The Cold Light of Day. 31 mei in de bioscoop.
Oh my god, a plot that is so original and has not been done to death before. Not. Stop me if you've heard this before. The story follows Will, played by Henry Cavill, who finds that his family has been kidnapped by foreign agents searching for a briefcase stolen by his father, Bruce Willis, who forces him to take matters into his own hands to find them. Gee, haven't heard that plot before, except in other movies like Abduction, you know, Target was another one. So many movies where somebody is living their life and they realize that a family member is actually working for a government agency or is actually a spy. Okay, we've seen it done before. Can you do anything different with it? Not this movie. No. We gotta go down all the basic plot points, the basic plot lines, the basic twists and turns that this movie has. And what did you think was gonna happen when they put this out there? This is written by the same guy that wrote The Condemned. and also wrote the sequels to not the originals to the Marine, the direct-to-video sequels to the Marine. Yeah. What more do I don't even think I need to tell you anything more about this. This is a terrible movie. This is a movie that is literally, quite literally, a film that was sitting on a shelf for a long period of time, and then somebody saw the news that Henry Cavill was going to be Superman. Well, let's go ahead and get that hype train going now, which makes no sense because the movie's not even out yet, and so they put this out there. It bombed. What do you think was going to happen? Even if you put it out after Man of Steel, it wasn't going to make any money because it's a fucking stupid movie. It's a movie that makes no sense whatsoever. It's a film that has a lack of action, a lack of a good story, wasting all these talented actors in here. You got Sigourney Weaver in here too. Like, it's dumping season. It's dumping season. That's the only explanation I have for you here. But what more do I even need to say about this? This movie is garbage. The cold light of day. Yeah, you can find better things to do with this. Insert your own. I've lost my train of thought here. I can't think straight because of how terrible these movies are. But now let's get to a terrible movie that's on the level of the Oogie Loves, a movie that's so bad it's actually kind of good. It's called Branded.
America is falling in love with the burger. Introducing the Super Deluxe Jumbo Juicy Burger. 2.5 pounds of sizzling pure all-beef. Try the burger. You'll fall in love.
Gentlemen, we have perfected the code. How far are you willing to go?
We'll do whatever you advise.
Like, what is even happening in this movie? That's what you'll probably be thinking when you watch this. It's just like, what is happening here? It starts off with documentary-style flashbacks showing Misha's rise to a powerful marketing executive. Misha being played by Ed Stoppard, and now in Moscow 2017, 5 years from now, this is what Moscow's going to be like. Misha is a powerful marketing executive working to spread Western brands, and like the businesses he works for, nothing will stop him in the greed. Until the imprisonment and death of an overweight girl undergoing extensive plastic surgery to become skinny, following a vision in which Misha sacrifices a heifer to a god, he begins to receive strange visions depicting the brand's control over people. He returns to work and guided by these visions, Misha attempts to stop the growth of these brands in post-communist Russia by encouraging the brands to attack each other in their advertising campaigns. There is some debate whether Misha believes that the worship of global brands is idolary, and his visions depicting the brands are controlling people, causing them to sin, or whether his belief is the monopoly is evil and his intention to create a Western-style free market economy. Do you really give a shit here? I mean, I might have just sold you by showing that bit where the people working for Christopher Plummer are some kind of aliens. I mean, that's literally what this movie is. This movie is so all over the goddamn place. It makes no sense whatsoever, and yet I admired the hell out of it because of how crazy it was. Like, this movie is unbelievably ridiculous. It's a movie that makes no sense. It's a movie that is all over the place. Maybe there would be a good idea in here, a satirical film, kind of like Fast Food Nation was, which really didn't quite work that well. But this movie is primed to be something that Mystery Science Theater 3000 would devour and just rip to shreds. I mean, that's how so bad it's good this movie is. And you got decent talents in here. You got Max von Sydow. You got Jeffrey Tambor. You got Lily Sobieski. You've got decent actors in here, but I really don't think the movie had any idea what they were doing here. I mean, it really just felt like a film that they were literally building as they were putting it together. I mean, like, if you want to do something like this, do something like that short that came out around, I think it was around the same time. It was like I can't remember what it was called now. It was like a billboard, it was like an advertising short film. I should know the name of this. Logorama was what it was called. It was a short film that came out where you basically had this world where all these corporate logos came together, kind of like the equivalent of Toontown and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and you had this chaotic showdown with a killer Ronald McDonald going on a crime spree, and then for no particular reason, the whole world just collapses into the center of the earth. And there was a more intriguing movie that you could do with branding than this movie here. I mean, this Oh my god, man, this is a mess of a film, but a fun mess overall. This is definitely right up there with the Oogie Loves as a movie that is so bad it's good. A so bad movie, I can't recommend it, but if you like really bad, so bad it's good movies, guilty pleasure films, this one's definitely going to be right up your alley. It's that bad of a movie. So there you go, that's branded for you. So, can we find at least one good movie this week? Well, we have the best movie of the week, but then again, that's not really saying a whole lot with Bachelorette.
Alright, I like to see you man up.
It's the best night of my life, though.
I just won't give you what you want. I feel like someone to put you in your place.
I really hate weddings.
We're missing Katie and Jennifer. I guess we're from Katie.
Like I said, it's the best movie this week. It's not that great of a movie, though. I mean, it's trying, I'll give it that, but you have a story about three best friends, played by Kirsten Dunst, Lizzie Kaplan, and Isla Fisher. Actually, they weren't best friends, but they're troubled women who reunite for the wedding of a friend, played by Rebel Wilson, who was ridiculed in high school. And this is based off of a play, which is basically originally written as one of the original versions of the director Leslie Headland's cycle of Seven Deadly Sins. And you also have a cast that also includes James Marsden, Kyle Bornheimer, Adam Scott. So there's decent talents all across the board in this film, and there is a good idea in here. The problem is it plays it way too safe. It's a movie that is supposed to be this raunchy comedy, supposed to be in the same veins as something like a Bridesmaids, but when you watch the film, you really come to the realization it's just like, how do you make an independent raunchy comedy and play it so safe and marketable? Like, I don't even know how you managed to do that, but somehow this movie did that, and boy, does it suffer big time. I mean, the jokes really aren't there. The gross-out humor isn't really that impressive. I mean, this movie makes Bridesmaids look like Citizen Kane by comparison, like one of the greatest comedies of all time. This one really doesn't even try at all. It's a boring film. The jokes aren't landing, and it really does feel like a movie made by somebody who saw Bridesmaids' success and said, I want that success for my movie, but I don't have a script as good, but surely it'll find some success on the indie circuit. But I mean, yeah, it just didn't work. It wasn't funny. It wasn't clever. It was just an okay movie. I won't say it's a bad film, but it should have been a whole lot better, considering the talent they had on board, considering the fact that it's a Will Ferrell, Adam McKay production. Like, you expect a lot more from it, but it's just not here with this film. So it's the best movie we have this week, but then again, it's not saying a whole lot. This has been a really, really bad week for movies, and Bachelorette definitely is a really, really bad film. I just realized as I was cutting out there, I contradicted myself by saying that Bachelorette was a really bad film. It's not a bad film. It's just not a good movie. It's just, you get the idea. Like, I didn't like it, but I don't hate it as much as I hated the other movies. That's what I'm trying to say here. So now that we've gotten that out of the way,
Technology is changing our world,
My name is John, and this is my world.
making what was once impossible
My name is Anna, and this is my world.
possible.
My name is Yumiko, and this is my world.
With technology advancing so rapidly today,
My name is Sven, and this is my world.
imagine what our world will look like tomorrow.
My name is Alice, and this is my world.
oh, spare me your fake-ass commercial that you've done for the other Resident Evil movies. It doesn't mean jack shit because the movie that you're making is a steaming pile of garbage. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. This is September 14th, 2012, and hello, my name is Aaron, and this is my world. Having to sit through these goddamn movies one after another. This is Resident Evil Retribution, the third film from Paul W.S. Anderson. But boy, I don't want to get those confused. But Paul W.S. Anderson is actually the third film he's been involved in the Resident Evil series. Yeah, if you thought that trailer was bad with its fake-ass image, with its fake-ass CG backgrounds and all that type of stuff, watch the full trailer and how that begins. Because, yeah, that one's just as bad.
Come on, babe.
Rise and shine. Let's get that beautiful ass out of bed.
You want cereal?
What a tiger.
Please get a room.
Sorry.
I mean, the acting is bad, just the background is bad. I mean, these movies have never been good, and sure enough, this one, it doesn't matter who you get involved in this, they're always going to be garbage. Milla Jovovich is back once again as Alice, captured by the Umbrella Corporation, and forcing her to make her escape from an underwater facility in the extreme north, used for testing the T-virus. And do I really need to say what's wrong with these movies in general? I mean, I'll just say this. I'm glad that we live in a world where video game movies are made much better. They're made by people who know the source material. They're not being made by a studio that has no idea how to make the movie in general. They're just making it for the name recognition. But man, it's amazing how far we've come since movies like this. I mean, this is another one of those movies that's about as bad as you get. I mean, this one's not quite as bad as Resident Evil Afterlife in 3D. I mean, that one was rough with the 3D. At least this one is better. At least the action in this one is better, but this is still not a good movie by any means necessary. This is still a pretty lousy film. A film that just feels like a movie made by somebody who likes the idea of Resident Evil, but clearly has no idea what the source material is all about, because, yeah, this is not one of those movies like with Total Recall earlier in the summer. This is a movie that feels literally like a movie that is literally, a director saying, look at how hot my wife is, even though she can't act her way out of a paper bag. And yeah, she can't act her way out of a paper bag. She is still terrible. I still don't like Milla Jovovich as an actress, and this movie is not doing any favors for her in general. This movie is another example of what happens when you take a property like Resident Evil and just continue to try to bury it into the ground. Like, it just doesn't work. These films just never work, and there's still one more movie to go with Milla Jovovich in it, and that's still a ways down the road here. But yeah, this just doesn't work for me, and just quite frankly, I don't know why it would work for anybody. Why do people keep going to these movies? Why? This is the 5th movie. You'd think by movie 5 you would figure out that these movies are not worth it. If you're a Resident Evil fan, you should be hating what this guy does to your property. I mean, honestly. Like, I digress. So, how about we get to some good movies, some good classic films? Let's go ahead and get to our next movie, and that is Finding Nemo.
Something's got me! I'm sorry. I see a light. It's so pretty.
I'm feeling happy. This is a big deal for me.
I want to touch it. Oh,
Hey, come back. Come on back here.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna be your ass, baby. Good feelings gone.
Hold on, get it.
I gotta find my son Nemo.
Fish are friends, not food. Grab Sheldon! No hurling on the Sheldon, okay? Just waxed it.
Duck!
It's not a duck, it's a pelican!
Everybody hold on!
Little help, over here.
Beyond the sea.
How's it going, Bob?
You know I speak whale. Come back.
Well, he might be hungry.
Don't worry, whales don't eat clownfish, they eat krill. Oh look, krill!
Now watches the ships.
Move, Dory!
So once again, we're seeing what Disney, Disney's success previously with The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, and now they're saying, hey, let's do it with Finding Nemo, because not only will we make money because it's the classic in 3D for the first time, but we also want to see if we can test this out to see whether or not a Finding Nemo sequel will be profitable. And while this one was not as successful as The Lion King, it was just as successful as, say, Beauty and the Beast. I mean, Beauty and the Beast did make a decent amount of money at the box office overall, despite not making anywhere near as much as The Lion King did, but I mean, it was essentially Disney's way of putting these movies back in theaters and then giving them a proper Blu-ray release later on down the road, because this eventually got a Blu-ray release that Christmas, and it was the first time this got a Blu-ray release overall. But I don't think I need to tell you what the plot of the movie is. Albert Brooks plays a clownfish who tries to go find his son, who gets taken to an Australian dentist office, and he gets the help of another fish played by Ellen DeGeneres, who has a memory loss. She has a short-term memory loss, and so they go off on this crazy adventure to go find his son, and the rest is kind of what you expect it to be. I don't think I really need to tell you how great this movie is. I mean, I've talked about it before. This is actually the second time I went to go see this movie in theaters, since I saw it originally in theaters back in 2003, when the movie was coming out and becoming a success, and it was worth checking it out again to seeing it on the big screen overall. And like I said, this was a movie clearly made to see if Finding Dory, the sequel that we eventually get, could be profitable, and as it turns out, it was very much profitable. It actually ended up being a big success, and I'll explain more of that when we get to 2016. But as of right now, Finding Nemo in 3D was definitely worth it seeing it in 3D. So let's go ahead and get back to some movies, and get newer movies. Let's go ahead and move on to the other Paul Anderson movie this weekend, this time from Paul Thomas Anderson. That is The Master.
A secret. The source of all creation.
We record everything through all lifetimes.
Good science allows for more than one opinion, otherwise you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of the cult.
He's making all this up as he goes along. You don't see that?
You are an everlasting spirit.
I don't want to hear this. Just say something that's true!
Rated R.
And needless to say, this is one of Paul Thomas Anderson's more kind of pretentious movies in general. But this is based off of there's a lot of different variations of where the inspiration for this came from. It was partially inspired by L. Ron Hubbard, who of course was the founder of Scientology, earlier drafts of Anderson's previous film, There Will Be Blood, the novel V by Thomas Pynchon, he would later use as for his next film, Inherent Vice, which is also, I believe, a Thomas Pynchon book. John Huston's documentary, Let There Be Light, about World War II veterans with PTSD, drunken Navy stories that Jason Robards had told him while they were making Magnolia, and the life story of author John Steinbeck. In this movie, you have the story of Freddie Quill, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who's a World War II Navy veteran struggling to adjust to a post-war society, and he meets Lancaster Dodd, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, the leader of a cult known as the Cause. Dodd sees something in Quill and accepts him into the movement. Quill takes a liking to the Cause and begins traveling with Dodd's family to spread his teachings. You also have Amy Adams and Laura Dern in here, and like I said, this one is a movie that's kind of got its head up its own butt, in terms of, it's kind of pretentious for its own good, but does it make it a bad movie? Not exactly. I mean, I won't say it's a great movie overall, but it's definitely a movie that I feel like is, like I said, a little bit too up its own you-know-what, but I think what carries it overall are the performances in here. Joaquin Phoenix is very good in here. Philip Seymour Hoffman works for it pretty well. Amy Adams is pretty good here. Laura Dern. There are a lot of good performances in this film. I don't think it's one of Paul Thomas Anderson's best movies. I think he's made so many better films. But this one isn't necessarily terrible, but it's definitely a movie that's got its head up its butt pretty badly. But, yeah, mixed opinion on that one. I don't think it's one of Paul Thomas Anderson's best films, but it's certainly not one of his worst ones either, So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to easily the best movie of the week, in my opinion. That is Josh Radnor's follow-up to Happy, Thank You, More Please, Liberal Arts.
What the hell are you doing?
I don't know.
It feels like an adult. It's the world's dirty secret.
I never met anyone that I trusted until now.
I'm 35.
It doesn't bother me.
Well, it bothers me.
My advice to you is put some armor around that gooey little heart of yours.
One of the things I loved about being here was the feeling that anything was possible.
get out of school and anything could happen. And then you do get out and life happens.
So you're saying I should prepare myself for suckiness?
No, a liberal arts education solves all your problems.
So in a way, this is Ted Mosby basically telling his kids the story about how they met their younger mother, who is Wanda from WandaVision. Take that for what you will. It tells the story of 35-year-old Jessie, played by Radner, who has a romantic relationship with Zibby, played by Elizabeth Olsen, a 19-year-old college student. And we talked about his other movie, Happy Thank You More Please, which was definitely the workings to a much better directorial effort from Radner, and this one is definitely that film in particular. I think this one really shows his true potential as a director overall, and not only as a director, but also as the star and the writer, and it's kind of a bummer that he hasn't made any directorial efforts since then. I mean, the guy had a bright future ahead of him in terms of the director as a whole. In fact, I don't think he has done anything directing-wise since then, actually. Let me see here. No, that's it. I mean, he had Happy Thank You More Please and then Liberal Arts, and then he just essentially went back to doing acting roles in general here. And, it's a really good movie, and it shows what he can really do as a whole. I mean, he's got that same kind of feel that Zach Braff had when he made Garden State 8 years prior to this. And Garden State's one of my favorite movies. This one, I think, is really, really solid. I like the chemistry between him and Elizabeth Olsen. Again, this is one of Elizabeth Olsen's early film roles that showed that that's where the talent in the Olsen family really went to. Not to the Olsen twins, but to her. And you got great performances by great actors, Richard Jenkins, Allison Janney. This was a really good movie. It was definitely one of the year's biggest surprises on so many levels. This is a really solid film, a great directing effort by Josh Radnor, a great starring effort by him, and one that really doesn't get talked about all that much. It's a really good film. I can't recommend this one enough. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out Liberal Arts. And you can see that Ted Mosby is not only a great architect, but he has the potential to be a great writer and director as a whole. I mean, two really solid films, but this one's definitely his best one so far. Liberal Arts, can't recommend this one enough.
We work the toughest divisions in the LAPD.
They were the city's top guns.
I got him. Try to run. You good, partner? I'm good.
Until one discovery.
Policia!
Oh my God. Made them the cartel's most wanted.
Got a hit on y'all, man.
Man, we're cops. Everybody wants to kill us.
These guys, they operate by a different set of rules.
You're my brother. I would lay down my life.
End of Watch. Rated R. Starts September 21st.
And welcome back to Time About the Movies. On this episode today, we're taking a look at the 5 films that make up September 21st, 2012. And we're beginning, of course, with the first movie that we have here, easily one of the year's best movies, End of Watch. In this film, you have 2 police officers from the LAPD, played by Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena, who uncover evidence of a Mexican drug cartel's human and drug trafficking. As the 2 officers continue investigating further, the cartel places bounties on them. And honestly, I felt like David Ayer kind of peaked too early, because he wrote Training Day, and then a lot of the stuff he did were just kind of, nothing that spectacular, nothing that amazing. Dark Blue, SWAT, Harsh Times, Street Kings. I mean, it felt like he was repeating the same elements he was bringing into Training Day and those films. And in this one definitely feels like a return to form for him. This is probably his best overall movie as a director. I mean, he hardly does any of those tropes that he does in the other movies, and it works because of it. You get a little bit of Training Day here and there, but it's not as noticeable as his other movies, and I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. This is one of the big surprises that I saw coming nowhere. I mean, this movie, there's just so much about this film that works so well. I love the chemistry between Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena as these 2 cops. I like the fact that they work well off each other. You can definitely tell that these 2 are best friends, and they've known each other for a long time, and they do really care about each other. I love the drug lord in this movie, who's a woman in this. Like, she's actually harsh. She's actually scary. She does not give a fuck at all, and she has no remorse whatsoever. Like, let me put it this way. I got more fear from her. You have the thunder out there. There's a storm right now. But I got more fear from watching her in this movie than I ever got with Salma Hayek and Savages. That's how good this is. I mean, credit to that actress. I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, but the movie does have a lot of good tension. No scenes in this feel predictable. it really did feel like something bad could happen to these two cops, and at some point towards the end of the movie, it certainly does that. Like, I'm glad that they don't literally cop out of this and give the film an overall happy ending, and everyone's singing Kumbaya, and, you know, saying, come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. No, that does not happen in this movie. No, it ends on somewhat of a sour note, and yeah, it's pretty intense what they do here, and if there's any flawed elements to the film, I will say, the found footage element in here isn't that strong. I mean, yeah, they have body cams on them, Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena do. That's fine, but when you have a majority of people in town having cameras recording footage for no reason, like, that seemed to be too much for me. Like, I get it, you did it in Chronicle, you did it in Project X, but there's an excuse in those movies. Here, there's literally no reason to be doing this type of stuff here. I also thought the tacked on scene at the end, while it was funny, really did kind of seem unnecessary. It ends on the movie ends on this dark note, and then they decide, okay, let's go ahead and just do this funny little gag here at the end of the movie here. I mean, we don't have a reason why we're going to do it, but it's supposed to take place the day of the shooting of the film, and it's the shooting of what happens in the film, and it's just like, that scene probably could have been shown earlier in the movie, because it takes a scene that, it takes a movie that ends on the sourest note possible, and then adds this extra scene as like a way to be like, okay, everybody, here, I know things are rough right now, but look at this funny scene with these two cops. It's just like, I don't know. To me, I thought that was doing it a bit too much, but despite all of that, I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. This is a movie that really was one of the big surprises for me. I was impressed by what I saw from it. I think it's one of the best movies of the year. Easily the best thing David Ayer has ever worked on since Training Day. It's a masterpiece, man. It's a great, great film. I can't recommend this one enough. End of watch. Seek this movie out if you haven't seen it. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Jennifer Lawrence starring in House at the End of the Street.
I think you'll be very comfortable here.
It's beautiful. This place is going to be really good for us.
Do you need a ride?
Here I am, Jacobson.
I live next door.
He's really sweet. He's all by himself in this big house.
What happened to your neighbor, okay? Why don't you leave her alone? Understand me?
Brian?
Promise me you won't tell anyone.
House at the End of the Street with PG-13.
First things first, can we do something about the hashtag, man? Like, you couldn't think of a better hashtag besides hates? Because you know you're setting yourself up for when people go to see this movie and they're incredibly disappointed, and they'll be just like, I hashtag hates the house at the end of the street. But like, I'm telling you, that's what most people are going to feel like when they see this film. So you have the story revolving around a teenage girl named Elisa, played by Jennifer Lawrence, along with her newly divorced mother, played by Elizabeth Shue, who move into a new neighborhood only to discover that the house at the end of the street was the site of a gruesome double homicide committed by a 13-year-old girl named Carrie Ann, who had disappeared without a trace 4 years prior. Elisa then starts a relationship with Carrie Ann's older brother, played by Max Thoreau, who lives in the same house, but nothing is as it appears to be. So I guess the question we should be asking Carrie Ann is, what's your game, and can anybody play? I think if you don't know what that is, like, look up the song Carrie Ann. But, I mean, really, what more can I add to this movie that hasn't already been said already? It's a lazy film. And you know it's lazy when it's literally being shot 2 years before it comes out. And the only reason it's getting released is because Jennifer Lawrence is the hot young actress coming off of the Hunger Games. And they're just like, ooh, we have a chance to put this movie out that we know is terrible. But we'll just pretend like it's a movie that we had in our banks the whole time. We didn't leave this on the shelf for 2 years. What crazy person is telling you that? But yeah, it's a movie that's been sitting on a shelf for 2 years. They knew it was bad. They knew it was a horrible film. What more can I have to say about this, man? This is a terrible film. The twist is not that great. The talent here is being extremely wasted on here, especially Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, she deserves better than this. And luckily, she'll have a better movie coming out at the end of the year, which will get her an Academy Award. But this, yeah, this is garbage here, So let's go ahead and get back to, well, maybe not some good movies, but better than The House at the End of the Street. Clint Eastwood in Trouble with the Curve.
Gus, you home? 9 o'clock in the morning. Where the hell else would I be?
My father was a baseball scout. I grew up around men who drank and swore.
Son of a...
What happened?
My garage is starting to shrink. If I don't do my job, the Braves will get somebody else.
In spite of you, I feel this dysfunctional sense of responsibility to make sure that you're okay.
I'm not helpless.
No, you are crazy.
What do you fellas staring at? I'm not a pole dancer. Trouble with the Curve. Rated PG-13. Starts September 21st.
So I did not realize this until I looked this up. This was not a Clint Eastwood directed movie, and That's probably why the movie isn't that good, but yeah, it's a movie that isn't really a movie per se. It's literally a film that feels like a pilot for a TV show you would see on CBS. I mean, quite literally, it feels like a CBS pilot. And this is not a CBS film. This is a Warner Brothers movie. It's revolving around Eastwood as an aging baseball scout whose daughter joins him on a scouting trip. The daughter played by Amy Adams. You see John Goodman in the trailer there. Matthew Lillard's also in here, and Justin Timberlake is also in here as well. And really, the biggest problem with the movie comes from the fact that it's not a Clint Eastwood directed or written film. This is a movie that he didn't write or direct. It's actually the first movie he's ever starred in that he was not involved in the writing or directing of since his cameo in Casper almost 20 years ago in 1995. And this is the first acting project he's done since Gran Torino, which is a far superior movie because it's him directing it and he knows what he's doing. This one really does feel like a pilot, quite literally for CBS, because there's nothing about this movie that really is that engaging or says this needs to be big screen worthy, except for the fact that, oh, we got all these big seasoned actors in here, Clint Eastwood, Amy Adams, Justin Timberlake. It's just like, okay, give them something to do. Like, give me a reason to see this film on a big screen instead of waiting for it to come out on DVD only to be disappointed by it, because that's how I felt about it. I avoided it in theaters because I knew that I didn't really have the urge to go and see it, and then when I finally get to see it, it's a movie that really does feel like a lackluster film, and a film that Eastwood pretty much made just because. I mean, there's nothing about this that makes me think that this movie has any real purpose of existing, except the fact that Clint Eastwood didn't want to make a movie, so he said, "Hey, Robert Lorenz, can you go ahead and come out and do this movie for me?" And yeah, that's all I really got to say about this one here. Except the fact, I'll also say this though. There was also supposedly a plagiarism lawsuit that came out a year after this movie came out, where the producer alleged that the former partner had taken an unfinished script after a dispute and conspired with his agents at Warner Brothers to present it as the work of a relative unknown. So they went into this plagiarism lawsuit here, and so they eventually dismissed the claims, and then the writer, the person who was responsible for this, what was his name? Brooks? Who's Brooks? I'm trying to read the thing here. Ryan Brooks is one of the producers on here. He filed a lawsuit after the film's release, and then the case was dismissed in August of 2016. So, I mean, was this really worth getting into a lawsuit with? I mean, really, was this really worth it? I mean, what did you really expect with this film? Like, honestly, but bottom line, the movie isn't that great. It's a lackluster film. It's not engaging whatsoever. It's a lousy, lousy film. So that's Trouble with the Curve, as you're hearing the continuous thunder in the background here. Let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Carl Urban starring as Judge Dredd in Dredd.
This is Dredd. Judgment time.
You betray the law, you betray the city.
The sentence is death. We got trouble.
Yeah.
Perps were uncooperative. Dredd 3D, rated R, starts September 21st.
Now, this is the Judge Dredd movie that we've been waiting for. You know, almost 20 years after the original Sylvester Stallone movie really dismantled any hope of giving this character any cool relevancy. Here we finally have a movie version of this character that fits the comics, is right where it should be with this character. He doesn't take his helmet off. He actually is a badass in this movie, and nobody went to go see it because they were idiots. I'm not saying you're idiots, but you people out there should have made this a bigger hit, honestly. Of course, this is based off the comic strip Judge Dredd, and its characters created by John Wagner and Carlos Esquerra, and it stars Carl Urban as Judge Dredd, a law enforcer giving the power of judge, jury, and executioner in the vast dystopic metropolis called Mega City 1 that lies in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Dredd and his rookie partner, played by Olivia Thirlby, are forced to bring order to a 200-story high-rise block of apartments and deal with its resident drug lord, played by Lena Headey. Another good weekend where you have a woman playing a drug lord and actually starring in a really good film. And this really is a really good film. This is directed by the same guy that did Vantage Point, and it's written by Alex Garland, who also would later give us Ex Machina and also Civil War, and he did what was the movie he did recently? He did Warfare, 28 Years Later, which 28 Years Later wasn't that great, but, you know, Ex Machina, Annihilation, Civil War, all really good movies. So you've got a lot of really good talent on here, and you have people who are committed to the story of Judge Dredd. He doesn't take his helmet off. It's just Carl Urban with that 5 o'clock shadow of his. And you can tell it's him. Like, you don't have to take the helmet off to reveal Sylvester Stallone like you did in the original movie. Like, that was your first mistake right there. And, yeah, that movie is fun on a so bad it's good level, but this one is a film that feels legitimate. It feels real and authentic. This is basically the equivalent to the Dredd equivalent to the Raid, pretty much, because it's pretty much the same concept. It's taking place in this one building, and you see, you know, Judge Dredd kicking a whole bunch of ass in this movie. It works really well. I would have loved to see what another film would have done to this, but sadly the film didn't make the money it needed to, and, you know, it's gone on to have this cult following over the years. So the hope is still there that maybe one day we'll get that Judge Dredd sequel. I mean, we are already, 13 years since this movie came out, so it's not out of the realm of possibility someone would want to do another one of these. And, you know, I talk about how sequels probably should not be coming out way too long after their predecessors are, but this is one of those ones I would say, yeah, definitely do it, because Carl Urban has only gotten much more badass thanks to The Boys on Amazon. So, yeah, there's still a demand here for a film like this in general. So come on, studios, get out there and do it. I mean, there's a lot of studios out there that would probably love to do something like this again, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But in the meantime, we do get a really great film out of Dredd. Can't recommend this one enough. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is the indie film, The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
The Misfit Toys.
Critics and audiences across the country agree The Perks of Being a Wallflower is a breakfast club for the new millennium. Brave, funny, irresistible.
Aggressive! Passive-aggressive!
Emma Watson is a revelation. You've never seen her quite like this. In a film that deserves to be regarded as a modern classic.
We accept the love we think we deserve.
From the producers of Juno, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Rated PG-13. Now playing select cities.
The days when we actually liked Ezra Miller and we took him seriously as an actor before he went fucking nuts. You have the story based off of a book of the same name by the director of this. Logan Lerman stars as a teenager named Charlie who writes to an unnamed friend, and these epistles chronicle his trials, tribulations, and triumphs as he goes through the freshman year of high school. The film depicts his struggles with him, unbeknownst to him, post-traumatic stress disorder as he goes through his journey in high school, making new friends, portrayed by Emma Watson and Ezra Miller. You also have a cast that includes Mae Whitman, Kate Walsh, Dylan McDermott, Joan Cusack, Leland Dobrev, and Paul Rudd in supporting roles. And this is a really, really good film. The Breakfast Club for the New Millennium, that might be stretching a little bit here. I love The Breakfast Club, but this ain't The Breakfast Club. I mean, it's a good movie, but it's no Breakfast Club. But this one works for the generation that we essentially have right now. And, you know, you really get attached to these characters. It's cool to see Emma Watson branch out into a role that's outside of her norm with, you know, she's not Hermione Granger in this movie. She actually is a legitimate character in here, and she works very well to the performance given to her. All the characters are very good, are very well acted. You know, it's a film that works, and hey, it's a movie that's taking place in Pittsburgh. You see the city, like you see the sights and all that. It's great to see on the big screen. I mean, yeah, it's a really good film overall. It's a movie that really does keep you invested. It helps that you have the writer of the book to make this movie, so he knows exactly what he's doing. It's a terrific film. It's a really terrific film. I can't recommend this one enough. Definitely seek it out if you haven't seen it. The Perks of Being a Wallflower, a great, great film. Certainly not The Breakfast Club for the New Millennium, but hey, it's a good film regardless.
On September 28th, see the world's most legendary monsters like you've never seen them before. On vacation.
Didn't I tell you guys we'd have fun?
Yeah, I'm working up a nice swing.
Pack your bags.
Here comes the party!
Check in.
I didn't do that.
And let your scare down.
This is my mistake. What is wrong with you people?
Hotel Transylvania, rated PG.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films that wrap up September 2012, September 28th to be exact here. And we're starting off with Hotel Transylvania, which to many people was a big surprise. And, I mean, actually, now that I think about it, this weekend had a couple of big surprises with this and Pitch Perfect, but we'll get to that one later on. But I think of the two, this one's probably the lesser of the surprises, but then again, I'll explain why in just a second here. But we have the story of Adam Sandler, who plays Dracula, who's the owner of Hotel Transylvania, where the world's monsters can take a rest from human civilization. Dracula invites some of the most famous monsters, including Frankenstein's monster, Mummy, a werewolf family, and the Invisible Man, to celebrate the 118th birthday of his daughter Mavis, played by Selena Gomez. The hotel is essentially kind of a protective area for Dracula's daughter, because he has this thing about not wanting to let her go out into the world and all that, even though she wants to. So, kind of a similar story we've seen done to death before. But, it's a way to protect the monsters from the humans in general. Things change, however, when a young human traveler named Jonathan, played by Andy Samberg, comes, and Dracula has to protect Mavis from falling in love with him before it's too late, even though they've kind of sparked, they've zinged, as they called it. Their eyes connect, and that's the thing that's supposed to say that you've just met your one true love, even though they kind of jumped the shark on that with the third film, because apparently you can zing more than once. But yeah, so that's the story here, and you have, like I said, a cast that also includes Andy Samberg, as I mentioned, Kevin James, Fran Drescher, John Lovitz, CeeLo Green, Steve Buscemi, Molly Shannon, David Spade. Solid cast overall in here, and this is a movie that really was something that Adam Sandler desperately needed, because we've taken a look at a lot of his movies over the last couple of years, and a lot of them have been really terrible, but this is not only his best film easily, this film is, without a doubt, one of his best movies. And Sony Pictures Animation, this was a movie that really put them into another echelon here. I mean, they had more hits than misses. Open Season was actually kind of decent. Surf's Up was really good, a very underrated film. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is a classic. Arthur Christmas, The Pirates. The Smurfs is only the real mess, but then again, it's better than a lot of the other Smurf movies we've gotten since then, so take that for what you will. 2012 as a whole was not a great year for animated films. I mean, there was a lot of really lackluster ones, but there were some good ones. Madagascar 3, Paranorman, The Pirates, and then we got this movie here, and, it's been a really, really good year for animated films. It's a really good second half of the year for animated films, I should say, because we'll have Frankenweenie next weekend, and then Wreck-It Ralph comes out in November. Ooh, excuse me, I'm sorry. But, yeah, this is a really, really good movie. It's the best animated movie of the year, quite honestly. And it's shocking because you never would have thought that, but then again, when you've got a director like Genndy Tartakovsky, who created some of the greatest animated shows in my youth, Dexter's Laboratory, The Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, I mean, it's not hard to see why, and it's great to see that animation style that we're used to seeing with Genndy Tartakovsky mixed in with the CG animation. And it just blends really well. The comedy is really good. Like, this has a lot of Tex Avery style humor, and it combines it with a lot of smart satirical humor, being very creative with the jokes that are very grating in a lot of kids' films these days, and it actually does work here. I mean, like, it's a movie that really knows what it's doing. The best joke in the movie is when, the climax of the movie is Dracula trying to get John to come back to the castle, to the hotel, and he's on an airplane, he flies up there, and they're showing a little bit of Twilight, and Twilight, thinking My Little Pony for a second there, Dracula goes like, this is how we're represented in this world. Like, even the movie knows that Twilight is fucking terrible. Like, I love that this universe knows that is fucking awful, a fucking awful series, but that made me laugh my ass off for a long, long time when I first heard it the first time. I was laughing for like a good minute and a half, because that's just such a good joke overall. But, and like I said, the voice work is really good. I mean, Adam Sandler as Dracula surprisingly works really well. He makes that character his own. He's not doing the same character that we're used to seeing him with these lot of obnoxious voices like in Jack and Jill or 8 Crazy Nights. But no, this movie really is where you get to see Adam Sandler doing his best stuff. I mean, not only that, but also, what was that, trying to remember the Lizard movie he just did recently. What was it? I can't remember the name. It has a generic name, so of course I could remember it. Leo. I mean, this is a guy that really knows what he's doing when it comes to voices in animated form. I mean, there was even a point where if his live-action movies continued to bomb, I would have said just continue doing these animated movies because you're doing a good job at it. Selena Gomez was really good here as Mavis, I mean, she's one of the best things. She really is somebody who really started to show her grace once she got the chance to star in other things outside of Disney. Monte Carlo was kind of an example, even though that wasn't a great film. I mean, this is a movie where it really does work to her advantages, and that character really does evolve into becoming the real main character of the movies going forward, especially with the third and fourth film. But, you got an also strong cast, and also includes Sam Berg, Kevin James, Steve Buscemi. CeeLo Green as the Mummy was really good here. Everybody here is doing a really good job, and what I love about this movie is that it's a very clever movie. It borrows a lot. I mean, they borrow a lot from Monsters Incorporated, and the way the story is played out works really well. I love the fact that there is not a central villain in this movie. It's very rare that you get an animated movie that does not have a villain. Remember, this is before, movies like, this was before a lot of Disney movies had the surprise villains, which got old really quickly, but it's interesting to have a movie here where you don't have a main villain, and I thought that worked so well, because you don't really need a villain in an animated movie to make a good film. I mean, we've seen it in other movies in a number of different ways overall. Like, even Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs doesn't have a central villain overall, just people who think that they're better than everybody else, like the mayor of the town. But I mean, it pulls it off. The ending was so different than what I'm used to seeing in animated movies. I love the fact that the monsters just get the whole idea of humans all wrong because they've been so stuck in this time period where, every human wants to kill them, but then they go to this small town where they're having a monster festival and they think that there's like a trap or something. But no, everybody is really happy to see these monsters. Like, these people do not care that real-life monsters exist, and they're more than willing to go along with the ride with it. And I love that they did that. I love the way that they took that route. This is just such a really, really good movie. I loved every minute of it. I thought it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. It was a movie that I really admired a lot. This is one of the best animated movies I've seen. I saw it in a long, long time up to that point. It's funny. It's smart. It's silly. It's got great characters, a lot of heart, a great story. Just a really fun movie overall. It's everything you can ask for and then some for a film like this. And for Adam Sandler, it's a return to form to what makes him so great. Hotel Transylvania. It's Halloween time. Look for it out there. If you haven't seen it, you're really doing yourself a huge disservice by missing out on this series in general, because the series overall has been really, really good. And this one definitely is the best of the bunch, easily. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to another really good movie that came out this weekend. Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis in Looper.
30 years from now, Bob will control time travel. My job is to eliminate targets century from the future. Even if the target is me.
On September 28th, you let him run free.
I'm gonna fix this! I'm gonna fight it!
You can't escape.
I'm gonna take everything you got!
Your future.
This is my life now. The hand you surrender. So why don't you do what old men do and die?
Looper.
Yeah, once you get past the fact that you can't buy Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a younger version of Bruce Willis, this movie actually does turn out to be really damn good. You've got a story here that revolves around present-day contract killers called loopers, whose targets are sent back through time by criminal syndicates from the future. And as we see in the trailer, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of these people, but then his next target turns out to be the older version of himself, played by Bruce Willis. We also have characters played by Emily Blunt, Paul Dano, Piper Perabo, Jeff Daniels in here. And this is Ryan Johnson, of course, who gave us The Brothers Bloom and Brick. And a movie that is very, very clever on a number of different levels. It's a smart thriller. It's a film that keeps you on the edge of your seat. And a movie that works mostly because, quite simply and effectively, it's a sci-fi film that isn't trying to become the next big film franchise out there. That's been a lot of the biggest problems with these original sci-fi concepts overall, is that they're already planning for future films before they even see if the first film's even successful to begin with. And I like the fact that this movie keeps it contained to one storyline and keeps you compelled with what they're giving you here. It's a really good movie. And again, you've got a lot of great talent aboard here. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, one of our best actors. Bruce Willis, returning to form here, and he desperately needed it after the cold light of day earlier in the month. Emily Blunt, you can never go wrong with her. Jeff Daniels, I mean, just a strong, strong cast in this movie, and it just works to a T on so many levels. The elements of action in here are really cool. The twists and turns they throw in there are really strong. It's Ryan Johnson doing what Ryan Johnson does so well. It just works on all cylinders, man. Looper is a really, really impressive film. One of the year's best films, easily. I mean, what more can I even say about it that hasn't already been said? A terrific, terrific film. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, another one of this weekend's biggest surprises. I think easily the biggest surprise of the 3 films we had this weekend that were good. That is Pitch Perfect.
Did you call yourself Fat Amy?
Yeah, so tricks like you don't do it behind my back.
We need 8 perfect singers if we want to be champions.
They may not be perfect,
You should be taking risks.
but on September 28th, they'll pitch slap the competition.
Let's remix this business.
It's not about the money, money. We don't need the money.
Pitch Perfect.
I'm also good at pirate dancing.
Select theaters start September 28th. Rated PG-13.
So yeah, this is one where the marketing really wasn't selling the film all that well. I remember the trailers actually looking pretty horrible for the most part, and I thought that this was not going to be something I'd want to see, but then the early reviews came out and they were all very positive, and I thought to myself, well, that seems kind of odd, so I gave it a chance, and I'm kind of glad I did. You got a story following an all-girl a cappella group called the Bellas, who try to beat the reigning a cappella group Troublemakers. You have Becca, played by Anna Kendrick, who's a girl who wishes to be a famous DJ in Los Angeles, forced to go to college in Carolina because her father disapproves. There she's introduced to the Bellas, who are scouting for new members. Becca also meets a boy played by Miles Teller, I think it is. No, it's not Miles Teller, it's Skylar Astin, I think it is. But he works in the radio station with her, and one girl suggests that she should audition, that girl being Brittany Snow, but Becca turns down the offer. She later decides to audition and pass the test along with Fat Amy, played by Rebel Wilson. I just love the fact that the movie is so aware that this of a character like that, like she calls herself Fat Amy because she knows that the people are going to do this behind her back, but and a few other girls. It turns out the boys she met passed the test to be in the Troublemakers, rivals against the Bellas. Both of these groups aim for winning the international a cappella concert, creating tension and forbidding romance. Like I said, the trailers didn't look that great, but this is one of those ones where you really have to not judge the book by its cover, because you make a poor judgment on a lot of stuff like this, and you miss out on something really special. And this one really is a really, really good film. I actually was really impressed by what I saw with it. But then again, I like a cappella singers. You know, NBC had a show on around this time called The Sing-Off, which was maybe one of the only reality shows I ever watched back then. I'm not a big reality show person in general. I don't care about anything that goes on Netflix. I never cared about the Tiger King or any of these reality shows or these reality stars that people try to make out to be. I just don't give a crap about them. But this show I actually cared about because the singers are singing their ass off when they're doing a cappella. They actually have talent and not just going on to be obnoxious dumbasses who look for fame and fortune. Like, I don't play that game around here, but that's part of the reason why I kind of like this movie a lot more than I could have imagined. The characters are all really good. You have a cast that includes a lot of notable young talent. Anna Camp, as I mentioned, Brittany Snow, Anna Kendrick, Rebel Wilson, Chrissy Fitz. You know, just a lot of really, really good actresses in here, really giving it their all. And yeah, they're all in their late 20s and early 30s and actually look like college students, which is very hard to come by, especially if you see a movie like Man of the House, which came out in 2005, and a lot of those actresses were in their 30s and looked nothing like college students. But I mean, the real standout of the movie is Rebel Wilson, who just really just knocks it out of the park in this movie. I mean, she can be really, really funny. Bridesmaids, it felt like she was just there to be kind of like the gross-out comic relief, and also in What to Expect When You're Expecting. Like, I just thought they were trying to push her off as the female Russell Brand, but not in a good way. The great thing about her in this particular movie is that she actually made me laugh pretty hard. There was a lot of really good, funny moments with her. Finally, you have a script that actually uses her to her good comedic advantages. So, yeah. I mean, it was a movie that really took me by surprise with her in particular. She really was the highlight of this film. The covers were really good, too. I mean, they felt like they were sung by professional singers. They didn't feel poorly done like they do on something like Glee in general. This does a better job of this than something like a Rock of Ages did, which I like Rock of Ages, but, you know, that film overall had a lot of its own problems overall, but this kind of reminded me a lot of Joyful Noise kind of earlier in the year, in a way, except done much better. There's one problem I have with the movie. You could tell that they were trying a little too hard to be like Glee when you have lines like, you know, this is aka crazy, and it's just like, what teenager talks like that, honestly, but, like, again, it's very nitpicky things overall, but this was really a big surprise overall. I won't say it's a great film overall, but I never thought I would enjoy this movie as much as I did, especially after seeing those god-awful trailers. I mean, this movie was a big surprise in general, and it really turned my attention to the series in general, because the next film would come out not too long after this, and actually be another really good surprise, too. But, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really, really fun film. Pitch Perfect, near Pitch Perfect overall as a film in general. So we've had some really good films. Now here comes the piece of crap. Let's take a look at Maggie Gyllenhaal in Won't Back Down.
We're late. Go.
The school doesn't care. I care.
Try it again.
I can't.
Cody, you can do it. Come on.
I don't get it, Mom.
I can't wait. With 10,000 studies about how being poor affects education, I can tell you being poor sucks and my kid can't read. What happened? Where is she?
Excuse me.
Malia!
I punished her because she does not follow rules.
Are you insane?
Okay. I know the joke has been that our education system is completely effed, teachers don't give a shit anymore, and that type of stuff, but if that alone doesn't make you never ever want to take your kids to a school in the inner city like that, that should probably this writing this is some of the worst writing I've ever seen for a movie like this. I mean, like, what teacher does that to somebody that doesn't pay attention? It's like can't really do anything in there. It's just like, what world does this movie live in? That's just one of the many, many problems with this movie. But then again, it wouldn't surprise you that this comes from the same director who said that, you know what we need? A Twilight version of Beauty and the Beast. Because yes, this is the same director that gave us Beastly. So take that for what you will. But two determined mothers, a car dealer and bartender played by Maggie Gyllenhaal and a teacher played by Viola Davis, look to transform their children's failing inner city schools in Pittsburgh, which, unlike the perks of being a wallflower last week, this makes the city look even worse for hiring people like that crazy, like that psycho. But facing a powerful and entrenched bureaucracy and corruption from the teachers union president, played by Holly Hunter, and the school's principal, played by Bill Nunn, they risk everything to make a difference in the future education and future of their children. Which, again, I mean, it's not a bad idea overall. Like, it has a good message to it, and that's the worst part about this movie. This is a movie that it's a big letdown because it's trying to get a good message across in a shitty, shitty film. I mean, in this case, the main argument is we want a better school system for the kids, and yeah, that's a good message overall, but what we get here is a propaganda film that just shows that these schools are all evil, the teachers are nothing but carbon cutouts of terrible people who just don't give a fuck at all, and the message that they're trying to get out here isn't thought out well at all. This movie wastes a really good cast that not just includes the three I mentioned, but Ving Rhames, Rosie Perez. I mean, where was that Rosie Perez comeback that we got at the beginning of this past decade? Where was that in this movie? And yeah, this film has such a terrible way of getting its message across and doing it in the most stereotypical way possible. It's another one of those movies that could have easily been a movie you see on 10 years ago, this would have been a made-for-TV movie of the week for ABC, CBS, NBC. Like, I mean, right now, this would be a movie that, at the time this was coming out, this would have been a Lifetime movie. Like, if it didn't have the stars that it had in this movie, this would have never this would have never left television screens. But no, because we have Maggie Gyllenhaal and Ving Rhames and Holly Hunter and Viola Davis and Rosie Perez, it's got to go to the big screen. And it's just, I mean, it's just a terrible movie. It's one of the worst movies of the year, very high up there. I think this was actually number 3 or 4 on my worst of the year list. I'd have to double check again, but yeah, this is a terrible movie. It's a movie that has a good message about how we need to fix the school system, but it's trying to get it across in a way that's been done to death before so many times and done with characters that are so detestable and so unlikable. Even the people that we're supposed to like, you really have no sympathy for them whatsoever because they put themselves in these really bad situations themselves, and it just suffers big time because of it. There's nothing good that comes from this movie whatsoever. The message gets lost in the shuffle, and it's a film that just is such an insult to people in general, not just parents who can't afford to have their kids in the nice schools and all that. Like, everybody in this movie looks terrible. It's a really, really bad movie. Like, this is unbelievable how terrible this film was. This was a huge, huge insult to everyone involved in it. You took a good message and you completely put it around a garbage movie and thought you could save it because you got the director of Beastly, which, you know what? That was your first mistake right there. We're hiring that guy. But yeah, Won't Back Down. Maybe the studio should have backed down and not made this movie altogether. That's just my thinking behind it.